9 minutes of commentary again. Hi there, I'm Corundum Core, and this is the submission video for AGDQ 2019 for Fia All Abilities. Fia is an atmospheric platformer developed by Swedish developer Zoink Games in early 2018. The main mechanic of the game is connecting with the world around you through song. That's what our main character right here, Fia, does. But in the All Abilities category, in addition to maxing out Fia's ability to sing with the world around her, we're also going to be maxing out her just general movement abilities. And we're going to do that by collecting all 75 crystals scattered across the map to collect all 6 abilities. We're in a bit of a tutorial area right now, but we're going to grab some crystals that we're not supposed to be able to grab yet because the map kind of doubles back on itself later on in the main story progression. So we're going to grab 2 crystals here in what's essentially a tutorial area before we enter the hub area. There's 2 ways to get this next crystal. I'm going to try for the faster way. Missed it, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the slower way. It's not that much slower, only slower by about 4 seconds. In an hour-and-a-half run, that's pretty minuscule. So here we're going to see that singing mechanic in action. We're going to match pitch with this singing flower. Hold it for a few seconds. We became friends with it. And now it's going to raise these flower platforms for us. Normally we would need to match pitch or pair with that baby deer that you just saw run off. But there is a trick called baby deer skip that I'm going to do right now. I'm going to try and explain it kind of quickly, but I also need to focus. So this first half, we're going to be platforming up the leaves of this tree. The leaves are constantly moving, as you might be able to see, which means that the platform that we're jumping on is always moving slightly, which makes doing the platforming a little difficult. Alright, we made it past the first half. Now we're going to do some ghetto jumps, named after the ghetto jumps in Metroid Prime. There we go. So we're literally just doing double jumps off of a corner in the wall when we're not supposed to be able to do double jumps. That was not the fastest, but a relatively okay time. So now we're in the main hub area, and there's this big old tree. And we're going to give this big old tree a crystal that we collected, and it's going to teach us how to climb trees. So we won't have to do that awkward platforming off of that tree branch ever again. Thank goodness. So if we were able to do baby deer skip first try on both halves, we would have saved about 20 seconds. Instead, we lost about 5. Just because it took so many attempts. So here's the first crystal that we're supposed to be able to grab. We're going to grab 2 more early crystals in order to get the second ability, the glide ability, early. But we're not supposed to have the glide ability until after the first, main area of the story, because we're going to have the glide ability early. We're going to be able to grab more crystals early, which means that we're going to be able to progress in general early until we get an ability that we're not supposed to be able to have post-game that completely breaks the game. So I should mention that we're not supposed to be able to do any of the platforming that we're doing here. As you can see, this game has a very unique art style. Oh, that's a really unfortunate bonk. It has a very unique art style. Everything's very geometric, polygonal. that's really great for us speedrunners because every single triangle that you're seeing in the art style is actually modeled that way in the game engine. Or in the game map, I should say. So that means that any triangle that you see that is at an angle shallow enough to be a platform, we can use as one. Which is really nice in some ways, but really bad in others. Basically, because the developers didn't intend for us to use those triangles as platforms, they didn't make sure it was easy to stay on those triangles and use them as platforms, which means that it's pretty easy to do some of the falls that you saw me do there. But now we're grabbing the glide ability, and that's going to make the rest of this run a whole lot easier. I should mention that the first 5.5 minutes of this run are very, very reset heavy, which is why you're seeing so much variability in my splits for these first 5 minutes, just because of how difficult the platforming can be. So now we've got the glide ability early, and we're on our way to the first area, the bird area, where we're going to learn the bird song. So I touched on it briefly before, but we can increase Fia's abilities to interact with the world by giving her, or getting her, songs of various species in the world. So there's 5 that we're going to end up collecting through what are called song quests. So as we enter into this next area, we're going to be introduced into the primary antagonists of the game, called the Silent Ones. So, Silent Ones, unlike the other creatures in the world, do not have the ability to do the singing and connecting, and so in order to traverse the world and do what they want, they enslave the various creatures in the world. Obviously not a good thing, so we're trying to put a stop to that. Oh, that's an unfortunate fall right there. Tried to do a little bit of a skip. That's okay, though. That pairing that we did doubles as a backup strat. So right here we're going to see this poor baby deer get captured by some Silent Ones. That's okay, we're going to free it at the end of the game. Pairing with a baby bird right here. Now's a good time to go over the different types of creatures in a species. So for most species, there are a baby version, an adult version, and a leader version. Baby versions you can pair with without knowing the song of that species. Adult versions, you need to know the song of that species in order to pair with them. And the leaders of each species are the ones who give out the song quests, and after completing those song quests, give you the voice or song of that species. So because we are in the bird area right now, we are about to complete the bird song quest and get the bird song. The terms song and voice are used interchangeably throughout the speedrun. So if I swap between the two, don't think they're two separate things, they're the same thing. So just grabbing every single crystal, or almost every single crystal that we come across. There are a few where it's actually faster to grab when we double back through this area. Like I said, there are a lot of places where we end up doubling back throughout the run. We're supposed to use that little green seed on the barrier capturing that adult bird. But instead we used it on a barrier to some crystals. Ooh, that was a really big frame drop. Because we're trying to collect crystals, we're not trying to collect birds. So these silent ones are trying to capture Bird Mom, who's the leader of the birds. We're going to free Bird Mom. Silent ones aren't going to like that, so they're going to try taking her eggs. We're going to get them back for her. So, just like any other creature in the game, silent ones can also capture us. We obviously don't want that. So we're going to be doing a little bit of movement here to try and manipulate the movement of these silent ones so that we don't get captured. The movement of the silent ones in this game is a little bit random. You cannot 100% reliably manipulate it. So we might see a little bit of funky stuff because of that. Right here, we're going to wait for this silent one to let go of the egg, jump up here, break the line of sight so it can't capture us. Now we're going to try and sneak around this silent one right here. We're going to go down into the river, get a little bit of a speed boost from that. Jump up here, throw the egg over to Bird Mom. Don't worry, the egg won't break. These eggs are pretty sturdy and also a little bouncy. That's going to trigger this silent one moving. And we're just going to slowly glide on down here. Stay out of this silent one's line of sight. Jump from tree to tree. And now that it's up here, we're going to go on ahead, grab this crystal down here. The bird area is the area that we double back through the most times, so it's the area that we're going to leave the most crystals this first time through. Other areas we will grab every single crystal the first time we go through it. But bird area is a bit special because it's almost like a secondary hub area. So this is a bear. Bears will attack silent ones and other creatures alike, so don't mess with them. Oh, that was almost really bad. So if that egg fell, we'd lose about 40 seconds, but it looks like it has stayed perched on that corner right there, which is really nice. So you'll see me doing little hops as I run along. That's because you get a slight speed boost whenever you start a glide. So the fastest way to move along the ground is to just do little short hops and start glides along the ground. So like I said, the eggs are pretty bouncy. We actually didn't want the egg to bounce there, but it did. We didn't really have any control over that, so that's okay. Alright. Bird Mom's having a little trouble picking up these eggs. We're going to put them where we know she can reach them. This is the last egg that we need to grab. Oh, that's not good. We should be able to avoid this silent one relatively easily. We actually got pretty good cycles with those silent ones there, which is why we got a gold, even though we had a few mistakes there. So, we paired with Bird Mom. Bird Mom gave us the bird voice, which now allows us to interact with adult birds, which we're not going to do much of. And it also allows us to open up the green plants. So I didn't really go into that when it happened, just because there was other stuff to talk about. But the baby bird previously was helping us open up those green plants that you saw on the ground, because the baby bird has a bird voice, and we didn't at the time. Now we no longer need to rely on baby birds to open up green plants for us. That jump's actually a little bit difficult, so I'm glad that we were able to get it first try. Skipped having to pair with an adult bird and wait for it to fly over. Gonna try for a short little cutscene skip here. Got it. Awesome. That skips a little cutscene that actually shows us that there are other creatures of the same species as Fia in the world. However, the cutscene is a little weird because we're supposed to not be able to catch up with the creature because we're not supposed to have Glide yet, and that creature does. So the cutscene kind of glitches out when we have Glide already. So now we are collecting the Sprint ability. Sprint is really easy. You just run in a straight line for a certain amount of time, and you go really, really fast. Except, you can actually start sprinting early, because, excuse me, you can use a glide boost to start reaching sprint speed so that by the time you land, the game assumes that you've already been sprinting for that long. So it's basically just a way to get sprint speed quickly, is doing a glide boost, which we will see right here. Now it may look like this is actually a bit slow, but the reason why it looks like we're stopping there every single time we do a glide is because the camera is changing its field of view a little bit, zooming in and out a bit. Oh, that was really unfortunate. So we started falling a little bit, which meant that I wasn't able to bring up the throwing crosshair, or throwing reticule. So I just kind of dropped the green seed. So now we're going on to the Deer Song quest. We're going to do something a bit familiar. We're going to go up onto the tree that we used to get those last two crystals for Glide, except now that we can glide, it's a little bit easier to get up here. I say as I missed that jump, and then I have to go back to the original way. But we got it relatively quickly. Except now we're going to go along this way. Do some mighty long glides here. Grab some crystals. And now, over to our right, there is a big old deer that we call Deer God. Because, dear God, that's a big old deer. So Deer God is currently trapped by the Silent Ones through those kind of white lasers or white tendrils that you see wrapped around its legs. Those white tendrils, lasers, whatever, are being shot out of these stone obelisks, and those stone obelisks are powered by captured singing flowers. So, all we have to do is free the singing flowers. That stops the flow of power to the stone obelisks, which means that we start freeing Deer God. And once we've freed all 3 singing flowers, Deer God will be free. You may have noticed that he's got a lot of trees on it, because he's a big old dude. We're going to use those trees to climb up him. But first we need to grab some crystals along the way. So we are unable to sprint while we're carrying things, so carrying things is a little bit slow. Unfortunately, we have to carry that green seed in order to break that previous barrier, so we can grab that crystal, because now is the fastest time to grab it. Before leaving this area, we are going to grab every crystal in it. Some we do before getting Deer Voice, some we do after. Alright, now there is a skip when we are climbing Deer God, where we basically skip the majority of the climb. It is very hard to get. I'm going to attempt it, but I'm not expecting to get it. I'll be really, really pleasantly surprised if we get it. We're going to take an intentional death here off of this Silent One. Because it's going to put us right out where we want to be. Oh, you're not supposed to spot us. The vision range of this Silent One is pretty lenient. We can just kind of jump right down there, even if he's pretty close. And he won't see us. I'm going to go up to this right here. When we're hiding in this tall grass, the Silent Ones can't see us. Gonna make this throw right here. Pair with the Singing Flowers as soon as it stops its animation. Just going to raise these platforms to allow us to grab this crystal up here. Alright, I think I jumped a little early for the skip. Oh no! Okay, that bonk was really unfortunate. Because it means we lost a lot of height. But we can make up for it right here. Oh no! And we were not expecting Dear God to move his leg right there. So we fell on Dear God, which is something you definitely don't want to do. But it's not too hard to recover if that happens. As soon as this leg is done moving, and that one is a little bit closer, we're going to wait for that leg to move. So we're losing a decent chunk of time here. Like I said, falling on Dear God is less than optimal, but it happens. Ooh. Collision with these trees is not being very kind to me today. Should mention this is not the intended way to climb up Dear God, but we're skipping some sections. We can just go ahead and jump off of that tree. Oh wow, we lost a minute there. That's unfortunate. Okay, so we're going to grab some crystals now. That jump is way harder than it looks, being able to grab that tree while Dear God is standing up. Dear God is squatting down right there so that we're not able to glide all the way over here, but you can grab that tree while Dear God stands up, and that saves a decent chunk of time, so I'm glad we got it. Just barely made that. Pairing with this adult bird. Oh, that's a really bad angle for it to start flying at. So the birds kind of move at weird angles sometimes, like that just happened. That was a really wide angle, which meant that we couldn't really jump off in order to grab that crystal, so we had to ride the bird all the way to the platform. So the deer voice activates those orange flowers so that it creates a bit of an updraft for us to glide upon, which is really useful for gaining height, as you would expect. Like, really useful. Alright, so we got one more crystal left to grab in this area. And then we will be grabbing the Air Dash ability, which is one of the most broken abilities in the game. One of the two most broken abilities in the game. Oh. That was a weird bonk. Collision's being a little weird for me today. I think that's just because you might be noticing a bit of lag in the video. That's not actually the recording or the stream. That is the game itself. It is not the most optimized game, unfortunately. It's really the main thing setting this game back from, or holding this game back from being a great speed game rather than just a good speed game. So like I said, now we're getting air dodge, or air dash, sorry. And you're gonna see just how broken this ability is. Like, frankly, it's not even funny. Also, I'd like to remind you that we're not supposed to have this ability until post-game. Which is one of the reasons why it's so broken, because they figured you've already completed the game at this point. So we're able to cross just an insane amount of horizontal distance with air dash. And we're going to start abusing that right away. We're actually going to use air dash to access some areas that we actually won't be able to get out of because we're accessing them so early. There we go. So yeah, we're traversing so many areas. We're not supposed to be here until post-game. Gliding over here. We are now in an area that we are not going to be able to get out of, so we're actually going to close the file and reopen it. Missed that throw. Or we didn't. Oh, that's a little surprising, actually. So as soon as we grab this crystal, we're going to exit the file and reload. And that should put us back on top of the waterfall that we flew up to. It did. So we're going to do a bunch of air dashes in a row as soon as we can complete them. And we're going to go over to these trees that we're actually not supposed to be able to access, which is a little bit confusing because they're fully modeled as us being able to climb onto them. But once we get to the top of that tallest tree right there, we're actually running along the ceiling. There were a couple other ceiling clips in the game that we didn't think were very useful until we messed around with this one and found where we can actually drop through the ceiling and access an area that we're not supposed to be able to access until we get the wolf voice, which you can see is coming up way later. That was a really weird glitch that I've never seen before. The physics in this game can go a little weird. I'm going to go for a little bit safer of a setup to grab this crystal, because if we fall, we waste a minute and a half. So you can just dive kind of straight down towards that crystal, but if you miss it, like I said, you waste a minute and a half. So I play it a little bit safe. And do a controlled glide down to it. So now we're on our way to get the lizard voice. We're supposed to go through a marsh in order to get to the lizard area. I'm not a big fan of marshes though, so we're just gonna like run right over it. Sound good? Sounds good. We're going to do a bunch of dashing again, except this time we're going to be losing height. Ooh, that was a little dangerous with that bonk. So depending on where we start and stop air dashes, kind of similar to glides, we can get a lot of vertical and horizontal variations in height. Or I should say vertical and horizontal variations in distance. So we are above the marsh area right now, and we're just collecting these crystals that, again, not supposed to be able to get until much later. And you can see just how useful air dash is in the routing of this category. Alright, we've got a bit of a difficult jump right here. Ooh, that was a frame drop. Really close. We almost missed that. That's a really tight jump. So now we're back over here. And we've got one more tight jump in order to have the fast route through the lizard area. If we miss this one, we have to do the slow route. But we get it. Run over here until we see those load in. So you can see that we're getting a lot more frame drops now because we had to exit the file and reload twice. This is just a bit of a platforming puzzle. Not even really a puzzle. Just a small platforming challenge. Trying to get really fast cycle here. And we get it. Wow. That is awesome. So that is not easy to get at all. I think this is actually my first time getting it in a run. Only ever done it in practice before. So I'm pretty happy with that. So normally we'd be going for this crystal rather than that platform up there. And then we'd come down here to do this one right here. So I should explain what we're actually doing right now for the Lizard Voice quest. We're breaking these teleportation platforms that are blocking a pathway in order for the baby lizards to reach their parents. Did a little bit of a skip right there. I just want to say that we're going to be saving a lot of time this split because of getting really fast cycle. I should be knocking on wood right now, because this jump is by no means a cakewalk. Yep, because we just fell off right there, right after I said that. Alright. Okay. For some reason, this corner is wanting to throw us off. Alright, there we go. Up here. We'll glide over to here. Alright. Supposed to do a really annoying puzzle with these flowers that require the lizard voice. Instead, we're just going to kind of platform around here. Move over here. And grab this crystal. This used to be one of the last crystals we grabbed in the run. In the very early route. Bit of a tricky jump here to grab a crystal. We got it. Now we jump back down here to actually do what we are supposed to come here to do. So these are baby bears. Baby bears' voices can break silent barriers, just like the seeds from the green plants. So these little guys are super helpful, but this is the only time we encounter them. Unfortunately, we will not be learning bear voice because it doesn't exist as a collectible voice. Come on, little guy. Wow, we're going to be saving a lot of time here. Or not. There we go. Decided to just not sing there for a second. Alright, now normally we'd be gliding over to the first area, or the first teleportation platform that we broke. We'd normally be doing that now, but because we got really fast cycle, instead we're going to be gliding over here to a crystal that's over near a post-game area. I do those turnarounds to try and reduce my speed. It didn't really help right there. And now we've grabbed this crystal. That was still a pretty bad split, and we're saving a minute, so that's insane. 42 seconds. So now we're going to use this adult lizard to take us over here. Want to make sure that we're not forgetting a crystal that we just passed right there, because I have done that before. And it takes a lot of backtracking to get over here if you miss it. Just double checking and making sure I have enough crystals for this area. I do. So this is the marsh area that we skipped before. For some reason, the Silent Ones are deciding they want to capture the water. I don't know either. Tried to go for a little bit of a skip right there. We weren't able to get it, but that's okay. I'm gonna go for another skip attempt right after this. It doesn't save a huge amount of time, but it looks cool, so I like it. Get up here, and where's the jump? Jump is right here. Aw, no. Okay. So now we have to get out of here, unfortunately. Which is easier said than done. Trying a couple different tricks. There we go. Doing some puzzles right here. So as we're going through this marsh area, we're going to be introduced into the dogs and the wolves. So wolves are the wild species, and dogs are wolves that have been captured by the Silent Ones. And they're being used to do the Silent Ones' bidding, and there's a couple places where we're going to be able to free the dogs. A couple places where we're going to have to free the dogs. do that air dash there to avoid the line of sight of these silent ones. This area gets a little bit glitched out because of that, and those dogs don't see us. The dogs have the same line of sight thing to capture you that the silent ones do. So we're trying to manipulate the silent ones right there. Unfortunately, we got captured. That's okay, though. Now each one of these kind of orangish sections were supposed to be freeing the water from that area, but for most of them we can just do some jumps and glides or air dashes to avoid freeing the water for that area. Oh, we just got spotted by a dog, so we gotta be a little careful. Okay. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna go for a skip here. Unfortunately, we did not get it. There we go. So it's possible to get that blue wall of mushrooms to open early through a little bit of manipulation with that wolf. So coming up is one of the hardest crystals in the game if you do get that skip, because this area will not be lit up, and you have to do this jump blind. However, it wasn't lit up for some reason, so we had to do it blind also. So you got to see how difficult that jump can be. You basically have to like try and line it up and just kind of pray that your angle was right. So yeah, those dogs, if you grab onto the white orb at the end of their tails, it's kind of like an energy source for the suit that they're contained in. And that breaks the suit and frees the wolf from being a dog. So we're back in the bird area, and we're grabbing one of the crystals that we left in the bird area before. Thanks for the host, SWC. So now we're just going to be cleaning up the last few crystals in this area. Going to take these orange deer flowers all the way up to the top here. And then we're going to try a quick grab on this final crystal, which we got. That jump, timing that jump is way harder than it looks, so I'm really happy I was able to get that first try, because you can waste a lot of time trying to get a short air dash off of that first tree that we climbed coming out of there. You can waste a lot of time there. So the intended way to get that crystal is having wolf voice and opening a series of blue mushroom doors to get up there. Now we're on the way to the area to complete the wolf voice quest, but first we have to climb Wolf Mountain or Ice Mountain. We're going to be grabbing some crystals along the way. This is one of the most difficult crystals to get, so I'm going to focus a little bit here. But I'm going to be having to do a lot of really precise inputs in a short amount of time. Ooh, okay, we got it. Now we just need to avoid these dogs. So yeah, what I had to do there was I had to open up that flower, start a glide, or jump off of the flower, start a glide at the height of the bounce from the purple flower, the lizard flower. And I had to make sure that I was facing the opposite direction of where I wanted to go. Then I had to hold back on the control stick. To turn around. And then as soon as I had dropped enough in order to get an air dash, I had to air dash. If we get good RNG here, this could be a pretty decent time. So we're having to break these 4 obelisks, statues, I'm not really sure what to call them. And we're going to use the power sources on the tails of the dogs to destroy them. The movement of the dogs and the spawn points of the dogs are random, which is what makes this area so heavily RNG. Obviously, getting spotted by the dogs is just as bad as getting spotted by silent ones, so we have to try and maneuver out of their line of sight. Not the best RNG for that section, but not the worst. So now we are finally at the Wolf Voice quest. That was Wolf Mom that we just freed, and her cubs are stuck over here, because somehow they got over here when the lizard flowers were open. But now they are closed, and the little baby wolves, little wolf cubs, or wolf pups, I guess, they can't open up the lizard flowers because they don't have lizard voice, so we have to do it for them. Eventually they will be able to bounce back to their mama, and we'll get wolf voice. Looks like we are going to be losing a little bit of time here. Apologies for the sound of me just holding this button down, but it's the fastest way to get them to run over here. Alright, how many is that so far? 1, 2. Here comes 3. And here comes 4. So yeah, we got... These wolf pups were a little uncooperative. So we're going to be losing a little bit of time here. Alright, we've got some crystals to grab in this final area. Or not this final area, but we're on our way back to the hub area to get the final voice, which is the jellyfish voice. I took that a little bit slow because I couldn't get a good air dash angle. So this wolf is going to be really nice. He's going to let us use him as basically free transportation. That wolf can jump down there and block our path, which is really annoying when it happens. So I'm glad it didn't. Can do an air dash there. I don't like doing it, so I didn't. Alright. That jump is a little risky. Glad I got it. So now we're interacting with a bunch of other foxes, just like Fia. We're supposed to play a game of tag with them, or I guess more of a hide and seek. But if we do, spoiler alert, they're going to get captured by Silent Ones. So we're actually going to ignore our family so that they don't get captured. Tried to go for a slightly quicker route there, just barely missed it. So now we're going to have to bait out this Silent One. Oh, that's not good. He was supposed to move a little bit further than he did. We were supposed to get an air dash there and we didn't. That's a little weird. So we almost got captured by that Silent One. That one was a little close. Jumping over here to grab this crystal. Oh. Here we slide over those silent ones down there into this area. So here's a little cutscene that shows that the silent ones are trying to capture and harness the big tree as an energy source. We're going to stop them from doing that. That was weird. So what we're doing here is there are these singing flowers, but they are different from the singing flowers that we've paired with before. They release those jellyfish that you see that are capturing the silent ones over there, giving the silent ones a hard time. Oh, wait, this is a gold? Oh, hello. I'll take a gold. So yeah, these jellyfish are just kind of capturing the silent ones. Being real nice. Alright, now we have a few more crystals to grab before we have the fly ability, and then we just have the ending sequence. Whoa, okay. Yep, 5 crystals, that is right, so I didn't miss any. Hooray. With the sheer number of crystals that you have to grab, it's pretty easy to forget 1 or 2, so I'm glad I didn't. Oh no. I tried to go for a little skip and it didn't work out for me. That's a little unfortunate. There we go. Now we got the skip that we missed the first time through this area. Four more left. Three more left. Oh, that was a little bit of a mistake. Oh, just barely. One more left. Oh, a little slow on time, but that's okay. Oh. So, we've got two abilities to grab. Radar and Fly. Radar is useless. Fly just completely breaks the game. Radar tells us where crystals are. We already know where they all are, so we don't need it as speedrunners. Fantastic for casual play, though. Fly does just that. We can gain any amount of height that we want, ever. It's really broken. As I said before, this is a post-game intended ability, so having it before you finish the game just breaks everything. We're supposed to get an air dash there. For some reason we didn't get it. It's a little weird. Man, these headphones are killing me a little bit. You know, we had some problems early on in the stream, but I'm pretty happy with this run. It's going to be a PB, which is nice. I'd say there are about an average number of mistakes. It's been a while since I've done this category. I've been doing a lot of other categories, and I can tell where just my overall movement tech in the game has improved. That's where a lot of this time save is coming up. Just having good glide boosts. Oh, there we go. Oh. Saved a little bit of time there. So yeah, all we have to do is sing at maximum pitch, and we fly. Unfortunately, the game's being a little weird with air dashes right now. Seem to be getting a decent number of frame drops. So yeah, there's really no point in me talking about this post-game section, just because we're basically skipping all of it. This is supposed to be a actually pretty interesting platforming section that's a little intense. Instead, we just kind of fly right through it. The Silent Ones are paying attention to this weird floating rock rather than us. We went to investigate. Now we just befriended one of the Silent Ones and it's going to help us make our way through here. Now we're just waiting for the Silent One to come over here. Once we have the fly ability, actually even when we just have the air dash ability, this becomes more of an escort mission rather than a platforming challenge. Alright, come on, big guy. Come open this door for me. arms are too small. Yeah, we're literally just... What? What? Was that a kill plane? Okay. Obligatory, that's never happened before. I just seem to hit a kill plane on the ceiling. Well, that was weird. Was really strange. So we lost some time there, unfortunately. So yeah, playing through this area, like, mostly the intended way, takes about 12 minutes. Because you actually have to do some platforming and catch back up to, the silent one. Really only 4 minutes of that time is platforming, and the rest of it is just waiting for this dude. And getting over into this area in the first place. We have to stay kind of close to the silent one, because if you go too far out of range, it actually slows down a bit. Or at least that's what we've observed. We're not sure if that's 100% true, but it sure feels that way. Oh, great. Sometimes that silent one can get stuck there, so you have to go get it to move. There we go. So, unfortunately, we lost some time on this split. But this is still going to be a 121 something, so that's good. Get ready for big reveal. The silent ones were the adult foxes the whole time. And now we're giving the adult foxes the fox voice? So, while the story for this game is never explicitly stated, the developers wanted to keep it open for interpretation. My interpretation of the story is that the foxes were a very technologically advanced race, and they became so technologically advanced that they actually lost their ability to communicate with the world around them. They lost that instinct, but the child foxes still had that instinct. So the child foxes, Thea in particular, got this opportunity to reteach the adult foxes the importance of interacting with the world around you the natural way. I like it. It's a good game. Like I said, probably a PB. Though looking at it now, it might not. No, it's definitely a PB. We didn't lose a minute and a half here. good. So now we just have a little, basically QTE right there. We got to do a little walking section through this memory sequence. This is the only memory sequence that we grab in the run. Yeah, that death on a kill plane in the ceiling was really bizarre. But yeah, while we're just kind of doing this final little walkout sequence, I want to say thank you to the GDQ organizers for even putting in the time to watch this run and even potentially consider it as a run being done at GDQ. Yeah, I think it's a really, really fun game. I think both all abilities, this category, and the all song category, which I'm also submitting, are two fantastic ways to showcase the game in two different ways. And I think that FIA in general is a fantastic speed game that is really, really cool looking. It's a very, very beautiful game. And I think it would do really well at GDQ. And hopefully you think the same thing. So again, thank you very much for your consideration. I have been Corundum Core, and this has been FIA All Abilities. Thanks.